I play and platinum the WWE games every year, and I've got a bit of a love-hate relationship with them, which turned into more of a hate-hate relationship this year. If you've seen the other videos, then you'll know that I like to mix up all the play mode trophies in between the actual modes, but this year I just wanted to get all the boring stuff out the way so I can play the modes I actually enjoy, like Showcase and My Dice. So I started off by making a My Faction account so I can start getting my daily logins, which we need 5 of. But I started the game on a Thursday, which means I need to wait until next Friday before I get the login bonus. We are off to a great start, and then the game froze. So I left that mode to get a whole bunch of random trophies elsewhere. A lot of the play mode trophies are based around the new features that the game has. So the first thing we did was create a wrestler using the randomize button. Fantastic. And after setting the sliders in our favour, we set the difficulty to legend and beat Roman in a Bloodline Rules match with no help. We got a trophy for beating him and another for using our randomised character. Then I won 25 matches on legend without using instant recovery, and I got 25 underground wins in a row. Next up, we had to win a 20-person gauntlet match, and I made sure the Judgment Day were involved in this match, because along the way we can also beat every member as Rhea Ripley. After you eliminate someone, it takes about 20 seconds for the next person to come in, so this match ends up taking about 20 minutes. But along the way we did find out that chain wrestling is back, which I remember always being quite annoying, so I don't know who was actually asking for this. Anyway, by defeating Carlito at number 20, we got both trophies we were looking for. The next feature they want us to know about is that Giants now have another health bar called Armor, so we have to win a 6-man gauntlet match without losing our armor. In an underground match, when you're 1 hit away from losing, you go into critical mode, and the game wants us to come back from critical mode and win the match. Easy. Almost at the end of play mode, we took CM Punk to Clash at the Castle and won a normal match without any rope breaks. And finally, the last feature they want us to know about is you can now jump off the barricade. Now we're in Universe mode, which is also very quick this year. We cut a promo with Dakota Kai, RIP. We started the match with a call out, and we did an open challenge match. And then all we have to do is simulate to King and Queen of the Ring and crown a winner. Then we simulate all the way to Mania and play through both nights. If you thought Mania was bad this year, then I think Universe mode is always a great tool to see how bad it could be. And an hour in, we already have a bunch of trophies, and this is where the fun begins because we get to play My Faction, which is the longest game mode and doesn't feel pay to win in any way. So there's a lot of stuff to do in this game mode, but a lot of it is similar to last year, so we'll go through it a bit faster than usual. If you don't know, My Faction is like Ultimate Team, where you can play matches using cards that you collect. The first thing I did in this mode was focus on the challenges, because we need to complete a full set of daily challenges, every intro challenge, and 15 lifetime challenges. So first off, I jumped into a ranked match to do 10 running attacks, which didn't exactly go well. The online is always not very fun in these games anyway, and, you know, especially when you get disconnected. But in the next match, we did manage to get our 10 running attacks for the challenge, and win the match. Now we need 30 heavy attacks as a technician, and damage 10 heads in Faction Wars. So Faction Wars is where we go next. Faction Wars works almost the exact same way as last year, and I'll explain it properly after the tutorial, but for now we just want to spam heavy head attacks. And by winning the match, we finished our first lifetime challenge for getting a bunch of points in the one match. So Faction Wars is a kind of roguelike mode where you have to get across this Slay the Spire board and beat the boss, and the big trophy that we're working towards is to defeat 30 bosses. Each run of Faction Wars has 5 floors, so we need to go through it 6 times. But the good thing is, if you die in the 3rd floor, you'll still keep the 2 wins you got already. So this isn't hard, it just takes a while. And as you can see, it is possible to get across a whole board without even fighting one enemy. And you can get buffs along the way, like you start with a finisher or a signature, and this makes the boss go down much faster. What is annoying is if you win matches too fast, it won't load up the next one. This has been the game for the past 2 years and it is infuriating. Then I got another weird bug where I'd finished my dailies but didn't pop the trophy. So I quit out and loaded back in to find that my dailies had now changed, but 2 were already complete. Okay. And after winning one of the easiest matches of my life online, we finished all 3 of our new daily challenges.
All the barriers come down. You really find out who a superstar is and what they're capable of with nothing to hold them back.
Got him right where he wants him. And there's the win. Huge win here tonight.
Next up, we had to complete a weekly tower, which is just 5 matches, so it didn't take too long. We now had to complete 10 live events, which are part of the live service idea of the game, and they change over time. The funny thing is, because I started playing the game about a month after it came out, all the requirements for these events were too high for me. So you can see at the bottom of the screen that you need these specific cards in order to play these matches, and I guess I just missed the events to get them. Like you can see here, if I've got Stone Cold, I can get Braun Cena, then I can use him to get silver, and use him to get gold. If I've got Orton, I can get Lyra, but to get Orton, I need Fatu, Carmelo, Ilya, and the prototype, but to get all of them, I need Austin Theory, Booker T, Tony D'Angelo, and LA Knight. So because of this, my choices for the live event I was going to do were limited, and I just did this easy one over and over again. Our last Into challenge wanted us to start the World Tour, and this is where we actually spend most of the game. World Tour is basically just the main mode of my faction with chapters and towers, but this year to complete it we'll need to complete all 7 cities, and each city has 3 or 4 tours which each contain 5 matches. So 7 times 4 times 5 is around 140 matches. Some of these are easy, some are hard, some can be beaten with any character, and some require specific cards. So I'll take you through the tour, highlighting some interesting or annoying matches, and we'll get some trophies along the way. We started with a signature in the first one, which allowed us to quickly win the match and finish the last Into challenge. But almost instantly we got our first roadblock, because this match requires 2 female gold cards, and we only have Bayley. For now, we solved this by going to the Faction Wars shop and picking up Shayna Baszler, so we can now continue. However, before going back into Orlando, I noticed we unlocked Dallas and Philadelphia. I wanted to take a sneak peek at what's up next, and for a bit of foreshadowing, you'll notice we need 2 legend cards to do the first Dallas match, and Orlando ended up having another roadblock, but thankfully Philadelphia is completely open. And after about an hour of this mode, we completed our first city. 6 more to go. 7 hours in, we were almost finished Chicago. However, to do these matches, we need to unlock the Sapphire Roman card. I took a quick look at the other tours to see if we could find them, but I couldn't. So opened some of the reward packs instead, hoping he was there. And by doing so, we completed our 15th lifetime challenge. This used to be an annoying trophy, but in the last 2 games it's popped without me even realising. Back in World Tour, I was just completing random matches and zigzagging my way around the requirements. And we now had enough of the in-game currency to buy the Legend Stone Cold card, which is one of our 2 legends that we need. And at this point I had seen online that this Ruby Roxanne Perez card is good because she's got a high submission stat, so I bought a random card to unlock her, and this made a lot of the women's matches go a lot quicker. This section of the video has been quite negative, so I feel like it's worth mentioning that some of the matches do have fun gimmicks.
That'll ruin your night.
That was just wrong.
Like in this ambulance match, which is no DQ, they give you unlimited paybacks, so you can just spam low blows. By completing this ambulance match, we unlock the next one, but we need 2 female Sapphire cards, and I have none. At this point, we hadn't unlocked New York because we need to beat another city first. We need the Roman for Chicago, 3 gold men for Orlando, 2 legends for Dallas, and 2 Sapphire women for LA. So we were able to do the Boston matches, however all 5 of them are war games, so it's going to take a while. If you're not aware, war games are 4-on-4 matches, but they start as 1-on-1, and then every 2 minutes another person joins. You can only get a pin or submission once all 8 people are in, which means these matches take at least 10 minutes, and once everyone is in, they're very hectic, so they're very easy to lose. The way I made these matches slightly easier was holding a submission where the final person was coming in, and then making them tap as soon as the bell rings.
Better make your way into the bedroom quickly. Your team needs you. We have a tap out.
After about an hour, we'd finished Boston and we're back in no man's land. But we did now have enough money to get the cheapest legend I could find, Jake the Snake, which means we now have our 2 legend cards for Dallas, but we also have our 3 gold cards for Orlando. Jake the Snake was maybe the most efficient purchase of my life. World Tour is quite self-explanatory now, and whenever I got bored I was also working on the Faction Wars grind, when the game would let me. Multiple hours later, we had 3 matches left in Dallas, but we need 2 female legends, and I don't have any so far. But once again I went to the shop and had basically just enough money to buy the 2 cheapest ones. And after about 12 hours, just in this one mode, World Tour was defeated. You notice that there's meant to be a Japan map too, but 6 months after launch and 6 months before the new game, we've had no news on that. Now we just had to finish up the bosses in Faction Wars, and after about an hour, the evil was defeated. Remember at the start of the video when I said, but this year I just wanted to get all the boring stuff out the way so I can play the modes I actually enjoy, like Showcase and My Dice. Well, we're 18.5 hours in, so let's finally get to the good stuff. So, I was not a huge fan of Showcase mode this year, almost entirely because of the subject matter of the Bloodline. It's just a personal thing, but the matches they chose just don't do much for me. I feel like I maybe would have preferred just the Omen Showcase on his own, but because they can't use Moxley, that just doesn't make sense right now. I do have to say, however, that I did love this Mania 40 opening. This year, they've got rid of the slingshot technology, which is when the game would slingshot from gameplay to real footage. I actually did quite like the slingshot stuff, but sometimes, and especially last year, it just went on way too long, and I started to wonder why I'm just not watching the match. So this year, all of the cutscenes and story moments in the matches are now all created in engine. We started off our Showcase mode journey with an AA to the Omen, which completed their first objective for a trophy.
Of the franchise. Cena's got Roman. Attitude adjustment. Down goes Reigns.
And Cody finished the story to win the match, while the Omen does a voiceover that he put like almost no effort into.
Finish the story.
Everybody seems to think that WrestleMania 40 was the night the Bloodline ended. But anyone who knows us knows that it's going to take more than one bad night to bring us down. If anything, we're just getting started.
So because the Showcase is about the entire Bloodline, it doesn't have a proper narrative or storyline, so we're just going to be playing hand-picked matches for each member, starting with Yokozuna 32 years ago. Each match starts with some context from Paul Heyman, and sometimes other members of the Bloodline will give their take too. And then in the match, we need to complete the objectives in the top left, like doing a carry attack, doing damage to Hogan, doing heavy attacks, and also completing timed objectives, which if you miss, you do have to restart the match. Now, something kind of interesting here is it used to have to complete every objective for the Platinum, but the trophies have changed completely and you just need to win each match and get to the end of the mode. And you'll also get some story trophies along the way, like this one for beating Hogan as Yokozuna. Now, being on the younger side, especially for the time period we're looking at, and this Showcase going in chronological order so far, a lot of the early matches didn't do anything for me. Like, I get why this match is important for what The Rock would become, but I wish they could do more than one match per person. Because if you think of iconic Rock matches, we've had the Stone Cold matches so many times, but with Punk back in the game this year, I would have loved to see their match at the Rumble.
Shot in the eye during a robbery last week, Thomas was taken to the hospital in critical condition. And yet, after all this, turns out it's wrestling that really ruined his week.
That's the worst thing that happened to me all week. The Rock beat Punk. Did you know that?
Showcase mode this year also features matches where you can live out your wildest fantasies, such as, what if High Chief Peter Maivia beat George the Animal Steel in a steel cage match on an episode of Raw? Like, you know, we've all been thinking that. And weirdly, after this, the Showcase skips ahead to a match from last year. I've been watching wrestling since 2015, and just a few months after I started watching, Nia Jax debuted. So I actually did kind of enjoy watching this video package because it featured a whole bunch of stuff that I watched live. But the match choice here is so weird. Like, to be fair, Nia doesn't have a ton of iconic matches, but I think instead of this match against Lyda, I think it could have been fun to just use her NXT debut against Dakota Kai, because it kind of sums up what her character is about. Shout out Black and Gold, by the way. Also, listen to how loud the Saudi crowd are for this women's match. Maybe they do actually deserve a WrestleMania. Now, I won't go through every Showcase match, but you do get to change history and give Rikishi and Stone Cold from No Mercy an actual finish, which gets us a trophy. Then we play as Umaga, 3-minute warning, Tamina Snuka, 2017 Usos. We also play as Naomi in a match that's famously bad, and even more famously was just before Goldberg versus The Fiend. At first I thought they chose this because she wins the title at the end, but this is one of the changed outcome matches, so they generally could have picked any other match other than this one. Is it weird to anyone else that there's 3 women's matches in the Showcase and 2 of them are just like forgettable matches in Saudi? There were a few more matches here, but apparently I couldn't even be bothered to record them, so let's just skip to War Games, which took me ages. We need to win as both teams, so I started as Team Roman. We start as Jey Uso against Jacob Fatu, and I've been doing every objective so far even though I don't have to, but this time we do, and they are annoying and I wish I could have skipped them. So first off, we just need to do a lot of damage and do 3 signatures. That's easy, especially when Sammy joins us. Well, once we switch to him to get him out of the way. Tonga Loa joins the other team, which is honestly a good thing because the AI stops freaking out. Just a quick tip, whenever I would get one of my teammates in control of their opponent, I would switch around using the touchpad to make sure the other guys were doing well. So after hitting the blue thunderbomb here, I switch back to Jay. As Jimmy joins us, we've done 3 signatures and dealt enough damage that we get our final set of objectives. Now we have to deal major head damage to all 4 opponents so they bleed, and also hit a super finisher. Making them bleed is so annoying. You can see that Jacob and Tonga both have red heads, which means if we target them a bit more, they'll bleed easy. But this means when the final opponent joins the match, we need to quickly attack him and make him bleed before one of the AI inevitably lose the match. So we hit a brainbuster, Helluva kick, and then a knee on Tama to make him bleed. And we hit a big boot on Tonga Loa to make him bleed. Remember when I said Wargames matches are hectic? This 30-second clip is exactly what I mean. And that's why it's super easy to hit a super finisher hoping to bust open Solo and get interrupted by an Uso and then lose the match without even realising. The second attempt went much better with 3 of them down, so we hit the super finisher to try and get Jacob, which actually hit this time. We quickly switched to save Sammy, but we were not able to kick out the second time. I feel like the blood pouring from their heads is just taunting me. The third attempt went much better because I brought in weapons this time and just spammed this move over and over and over again. And by the time we actually got the objective, both Jacob and Tonga were already busted open. So as soon as Tama Tonga came in, we were waiting on him, and we managed to make him bleed even before the Omen had came in. Which meant when Solo came in, we were ready for them. But with everyone in, that also means the match can end at any second. Solo took a spear, and then just 2 of these punches was enough to bring him down, so we could easily make him tap out. This isn't super hard, but it's definitely the hardest trophy in the game, and now we need to do it all over again. I was a bit worried at first because Jacob doesn't have that mounted punch move, but then I very quickly found that 90% of his moveset is just headbutts. So we got Jay to bleed super fast, and Tonga's stomp move is even better, so this was much easier on the Solo side. Finally, just like last year, we do a big gauntlet match where we can play as anyone featured in the showcase. To make this quick, I just played as the big dog and we got out of there. Something I didn't think about when choosing the order that I'd play the different modes is that every other mode unlocks cards in my faction. For example, you get a bunch of good cards for finishing my dies, but obviously I didn't get a chance to use any of them. Now it's time for the new mode this year, The Island, which before launch, friend of the channel Siggy's Hollywood warned me that if this is similar to the NBA games, it will be very grindy and almost certainly pay to win. And from what I've seen, he was correct, but thankfully, number 1, the trophies are in a DLC list, so you don't actually need to even do them for the platinum. But most importantly, number 2, they're actually super easy and you can get them super fast. So the mode might be grindy, but the trophies aren't. We get our first one for getting a badge, and we can get a free badge just by picking a class that starts with one. And we get another trophy just for making our character. The Island is this kind of MMO/story mode, but it looks very cheap, there's no voice acting, and all the cutscenes are just these walls and walls of text, so instantly I started skipping them. We get a trophy for completing the tutorial quest, another for completing, not winning, an online match, and finally we have to complete a Hall of Fame challenge, which sounds scary, but you can just complete one by winning 10 matches. So the Island was actually not that bad, but I feel like maybe next year it could be. I don't want to tempt fate, but you know. And my GM, from memory, was actually a lot easier this year as well. It is a bit boring, however, I'll speed through it and we can finally get to my dice. First up, we have to play as Punk with Mutiny as our brand, and we set up a second controller for the other player. Our first trophy was to book a show and be left with $0, so we did exactly that. And after looking at what we actually had to do to get the trophies, I started a new GM mode and set Kyle Slickman, who's usually a jobber, to level 25, which makes him immortal. There's a trophy for using him in the main event of Mania, and usually you need to level him all the way up to 25, but we can use a custom draft pool to get him there already. And we did the same for Cash Suplex, who we also have to do something with. We got to the end of week 5 and traded with the other brand to make Mutiny almost impossible to beat. And at the next Go Home show, we set up 5 no holds barred matches. We made sure that Cash Suplex got beat, which would injure him, and then we simulated the rest of the matches so the other 4 losers get injured. And we injured 5 people in the one show. Because Cash Suplex is so high level, we can release him when he's injured and get $500,000 for it. And honestly, those are almost all of the GM mode trophies. Now we just need to get Kyle Slickman to win at Mania, but the main event is a women's match. So we have to wait for next year's Mania and it will be a men's match. However, with Season 1 complete, we did get the trophy for winning with Punk and Mutiny. And 20 minutes later, we got back to the main event of WrestleMania and got Kyle Slickman to win.
There's the bell.
And now we've got 2 trophies left, so we're going to grind one out where we set up the online one. So a season is 25 weeks, WrestleMania is always week 25, and Survivor Series is always week 20, which means weeks 5, 10 and 15 can be King and Queen of the Ring, Money in the Bank, Clash at the Castle, Backlash, SummerSlam, Bad Blood, Hell in a Cell, or Bash at Berlin. So every season, this will be randomised, and for the trophy, you have to win at every show, which means if you got perfect RNG, it will take you 3 seasons, but if you don't get perfect RNG, it can take you much longer if you don't get the pay-per-view that you need. I didn't expect this to be such a grind, so I didn't keep a checklist or keep notes of what ones I'd won at, and I just kind of hoped it would pop, but it didn't, so we had to put in the work. The online trophy is just to finish a season with 3 other players, and you would expect this to take a long time, but what you can do is make a save in week 24 and then invite people to join you at the very end. So I got this save all the way up to Mania without finding my last pay-per-view, so I set up another save because that trophy does carry over between saves, and I made this one with just 1 CPU to make it go as fast as possible. And luckily, as our first pay-per-view, we got Clash at the Castle Scotland, which was in Cardiff this year. Then I found some people on PSN profiles who helped out and joined my game to get me the last GM mode trophy. And of course, I stuck it down for them so all 4 of us could get it. Finally, after a whole day of gameplay, it is time for My Dies, which is basically the game's story mode. And unlike every other mode in the game so far, I actually did kind of like it. And that's a good thing because to get all the trophies here, we have to play through the mode twice. So let's start our journey and I'll explain all the other trophies along the way. Triple H announces there'll be a draft next week, and we get the first choice to start as our male or female wrestler. This year both My Dies are combined, so you'll switch between the 2 of them. I chose to start in the men's division, and we get to choose a backstory to add some flavour, and I chose that we are the top star of another promotion. Hangman Adam Page has officially joined the WWE, and it is so funny that the rival promotion in the game is canonically AEW.
How have you been?
Just before we debut, we get asked what kind of personality we have, and depending on what we pick, we'll get a trophy tied to each option. These appear a few more times in the story, and I'll talk about them when they're relevant, but for now, we pick the comedic option. Hangman ends up getting chosen as a #1 draft pick, however, he gets jumped. And almost instantly, my choice to play as Hangman Page was vindicated by an incredible moment.
Hey, you alright? I'm okay. I know we didn't cross paths too much at our former workplace, but it's good to see a friendly face here.
What did I ever do in this world to deserve an empty-headed, fucking dumb fuck like Hangman Adam Page to go out on national television and fucking go into business for himself? For what? What did I do, Dave? What did I ever do?
The NXT Unity Tag Champions have taken out CM Punk.
After the opening matches, it's very quickly revealed that we're doing an NXT 2.0 invasion angle, but we've got some black and gold NXT alumni to help us out. It's a full-on NXT invasion, and we just get a woman on our side to help us fight Bayley. And Chris Statlander joins us on the women's side. We get to choose Statlander's personality, and we go for bold and brash.
Bold and brash.
Just so you know, My Dies also has objectives like Showcase, and you do need to complete every single one. And it works the same way, and after completing an objective, it might switch to a cutscene. After taking the fight to some of the lower members of NXT Mutiny, we win their tag titles. And now we unlock live events, which are just a little bit grindy. These are basically just quick little house show matches that you can do to get some skill points, and we get a trophy for winning our first one. In this mode, whenever you hit a move or do an attack of any kind, you'll get some points to your star rating, and big moves and weapon attacks equal more points. For the trophies here, we need to gain 100 stars, and you can get a maximum of 5, so that's 25-star matches. This is going to take a while. However, there are some ways to make it quicker. By completing matches, you unlock rebooks, which you can use to randomly change the match type. This example here actually didn't change anything, but if you get a no DQ match, then it makes it a lot quicker because you can use weapons as much as you want. You can also choose to do tag team matches, and the reason this is useful is because you can basically have 2 matches going on at the one time. You only actually get the points for the person you're playing as, but no matter how you play, this is just much faster. And it meant we can get a 5-star match in about 3 minutes. Once we got 20 stars, we can now have Super Cena as our tag partner, which made this a lot easier since he's got 100 overall. Tag team matches also get you more V-Books, so every time we won a match, we'd get 5 more, so we could consistently only do no DQ matches.
This one's not doing it for me.
Almost exactly an hour since we started this mode, we got 50 stars, and half an hour later, we had got 100 stars and we could move on back to the story. First we did a little side quest where we protect Damien Priest, and we got this side quest because we picked to be comedic earlier. So there's our first of 3 choice trophies. Something quite cool about the story that obviously they didn't plan is that our next opponents are Becky and Seth, and of course Punk's on our side, but if only we had someone to help us. Triple H announces that to put this WWE vs NXT situation to rest, at Survivor Series there's going to be 3 matches, and whoever wins the most will win the feud, and I guess the losers get fired or something, I don't know. We also get asked to defend our tag titles, and Punk wants to take Hangman's place. Oh, also, Statlander traveled the world to steal back the WWE title, which was her bold and brash storyline. Like I said, there are 3 of these choice-based trophies in the game, but you can only do 2 on each playthrough. However, because we have to do another playthrough anyway, it just means we need to get our final trophy on our next playthrough as one of those 2 options. We're about to win our title match, but, of course, just like real life, Punk says one thing, but does another.
Did that just happen? I can't believe this. CM Punk?
And the rest of my eyes is just about taking Punk and Mutiny down for good.
Happening right now. It's over. We have new...
But to do that, we'll need to get some new teammates. Of course, we had to pick DM Hunk, who in his storyline he's got an MMA match just like Punk did, and then he cuts his own pipe bomb before officially joining the team. Then as Statlander, we need a woman to help us out, and I feel like Cargill just made sense. Cargill's our spy on the inside, and then cements herself as Team WWE. And we now have 2 friends who are going to win the tag titles back. And then very quickly lose them back.
Chad Patton has stopped counting. Maybe he forgot what number comes next. Looks like they're going to remind him. Wait, Bentley with the roll-up. It's over. Chad Patton knew how to count that time. That was a fast count.
Because we chose a comedic story earlier, we end up cosplaying as Mutiny, and we get another great Hangman and Punk moment.
I am CM Punk, and I have come to rescue WWE and revolutionize this entire sport so that I can benefit.
You talk a big game about workers' rights, yeah? Well, you've shown the exact opposite since you've gotten here.
And now it's Survivor Series, where we have the best of 3 matches. Mutiny cheat to take the first match, but we take the second one. But we have to start the 3rd match alone because Statlander has went missing. There she is. Oh, not again. And now we get to choose which ending we want to do. Like I've said, we need to play through the whole thing twice, so a PS Plus save won't make this faster. So let's just stick with Hangman for now. Our goal is to once again take down Mutiny, and now we need to choose who we get help from. And this is where the PS Plus saves come in handy. We upload our save and choose to get help from old My Players, and after watching this cutscene, we can get our trophy and download our save. Then we get some help from indie wrestlers, and this time we don't even have to watch the cutscene. And now we can actually get some help from some legends. And we get Mutiny out of the Performance Center.
3D through the table, fleeing their home base of the Performance Center.
Mutiny has fallen. It's about damn time.
We put together a team, making sure to pick Big Sexy, and we beat Mutiny.
And just like that,
Which means at WrestleMania, which looks like it's in Washington, we get Hangman versus Statlander, and we end up winning without any Mutiny interference. This is honestly such a baffling ending because I know that Statlander turned on us, but the actual big bad in the story was CM Punk, and he's just kind of forgotten about, but you know, whatever. Now we just need to do My Eyes one last time. We get taken all the way back to the start, but we can make it a bit more interesting by choosing different decisions than we did last time. For example, choosing a scheming personality type, which unlocks this NWO storyline. This time we choose Cody as one of our partners, who's got quite a cool storyline where R-Truth sends you back in time to change WWE history, and we end up playing as undashing Cody with a mask. We also erase Cena and Punk from WWE, so Randy Orton ends up basically like becoming a god, and he beats Undertaker at Mania 30, and now he's in charge of Mutiny. So to take down him, we get sent back to Mania 31, which means we get to play as Stardust. The Ripley story is also quite cool because you end up winning all 3 women's titles, and then you get the choice to join Team WWE or Team Mutiny. And obviously we're doing this to get her to join our team, but for some reason if you want to, you can make her join the enemy team, and if you do that you end up getting Bianca on your team instead, and I just thought this was quite a cool idea. We then play the story up until the end and choose to play Statlander this time, and then we get the choice trophies on this ending. Now that we're part of Mutiny, we have to get some gold, so we can either have the hard match against Io Sky, or force her to vacate her title and have an easier match against Wendy Choo. We beat Io for the title, but Hangman shows up to take us out. Then we load our cloud save and beat Wendy Choo for the title, but Hangman also shows up to take us out. Of course we beat him in Hell in a Cell, and then Mutiny turn on Punk for some reason. I know I said I wanted the Punk match, but I feel like it makes more sense on the other side. We beat Punk, and this story becomes even more overbooked than Mania 40.
Thank you. Paul Triple H Levesque is here to put a stop to this.
Bailey and KO from behind. Wait a second. Look who it is.
He's here. The Rock is here. Finally.
And at Mutiny Mania, we take on the saviour of the WWE, the final boss, the Smashing Machine, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Hangman comes out to be as useful as Travis Scott, and Mutiny end up winning.
Leader tries to get her former partner out of the picture. He finds a way back to haunt her.
This must be The Rock's special guest that he teased. The final boss is pulling out all the stops. She countered that into her own offense. It's demoralizing to see.
We get a trophy for doing this ending, and another for playing My Dies twice. And that is almost every trophy in the game. We've got 2 left, and the first one is for finally getting our daily login bonus. And then we just had to place ourselves on this leaderboard by playing 3 matches. And of course, just as we're about to stop playing and finish the game, we get a good classic 2K moment. But after finishing our final match, we placed on the leaderboards and just had to wait 8 days for it to reset. So on the 5th of May, yes, I have taken ages to edit this, a bunch of WWE trophy hunters jumped onto the servers hoping to be first achiever for the Platinum. I exited the game mode and tried to time it to jump in as soon as it hit 1 AM, and we got the Platinum as number 20. Shout out to Needle Mover. He was one of the people that helped me with that online GM trophy, and he managed to get number 2, so fair play. If you want to go back and watch them, this is my 3rd WWE video on the channel, and honestly this was maybe my least favourite Platinum experience so far, and it kind of made me question if I want to play this game again next year, but you know, I probably will. So subscribe if you're new, thanks for watching this video, and have a good one.